Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is episode 331 of the Woolen Spinning Podcast. My name is Rachel. I can be found pretty much everywhere as Woolen Spinning, and I'm coming to you from just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia, here in Canada. Thank you so much for being here. It is a cloudy, overcast day, and it's quite warm. I think this morning when I dropped the kids off, it was like, it was 9 or 10 degrees, and now we're already up to 11, which is crazy Celsius. We are having really mild weather, and it's almost too warm to wear winter jackets and whatnot. And I've been wearing my rain jacket with lots of layers underneath, and it's just mind-boggling when the rest of the sort of country and into the sort of center and center of the States, all across the prairies in Canada, all in the east, and then of course the eastern seaboard, everybody's just getting pummeled with all this cold weather. So very odd. It feels like summer here. It's true, Rebecca. Thank you for joining us here. Thank you for being here. Today, it's another live stream, and I just want to say thank you to everybody for taking a bit of time out of your day to spend some time here with us and with the conversation that happens here at Woolen Spinning. I really appreciate it. There are a lot of people and things that compete for our attention, and I really appreciate you just carving some time out to spend with us here. For those who are watching this down the road, like in a couple of days after the live stream has already happened, you can follow along with the live chat down below by clicking in the down bar, just to see what people were chatting about and what they were working on while they were watching the show, which is really cool. Christine says she listened to Woolen Spinning Radio today. She enjoyed it very much. Yes, so Woolen Spinning Radio has been released for the month. I put the links in the live chat. They are also available in the housekeeping post, the Ketchup and Pickles for this month, which is also linked down below. It's sort of the Woolen Spinning Monthly. Think of it like a newsletter. And it was a really fun one. We did If Your Yarn Could Talk and more silly questions. We were feeling pretty punchy, and me and Rebecca and Dion had a really good time. It was quite a riot. So thank you for listening, and thank you for enjoying the audio podcast. You can find that wherever you look for your audio podcasts. It looks like Eliane in Norway, she's still very cold. And what else? Rainy, sunny and windy in Rankin in the Canadian Arctic. That's up in Nunavut, north of Manitoba. But Christine says she's had a very productive spinning day, finished a third of the 100-gram pack of fiber, and she also got it all rewound, plied 100 grams of 3-ply yarn, and will rewind another bunch of bobbins, another 3 bobbins to finish up the plying. That's awesome, Christine. Very productive. Rebecca's feeling the sewing bug coming on. I don't know about you guys, but as we get into spring, I often start to feel the sewing bug. I haven't gotten a lot of sewing done the last few years, but I always feel like there's that pull of the patterns that I would like to do for spring and summer knits or spring and summer makes that I never get to. This year will probably be no different, but it's a dream. Amanda from Germany is here. Somebody's celebrating a birthday. Linda, happy birthday, Linda. That's wonderful. She says I was able to join as a birthday treat. Wonderful, Linda. Happy birthday. I hope it's a happy year for you. It's raining in London, says Nicole. So good to see everybody. Thank you for being here. It's 7 degrees and sunny in Calgary. That's not too bad, Annie. I know you guys have been getting absolutely pummeled with cold weather. So 7 degrees, I'll take it. I know Glenda was saying Regina in Saskatchewan, it was actually raining last week, which is crazy because it's been so cold. And my in-laws were saying they lost power a couple of weekends ago and it was minus 30. With the wind chill, it was like minus 37, and with no power, it's just so awful. So anybody dealing with really super cold weather and all of the side effects that comes with that, I feel for you, and I hope it starts to warm up at least a little bit soon. I know though you can do a lot in cold weather. One of our community members, Fionn, was out with her husband. They went to a cabin and he did some ice fishing. There's lots of things, especially in northern Canada, that people do, and it makes the winter enjoyable. But I know at this point, some of us are kind of looking forward to some warming up of the weather. So I hope that is coming. we have kind of a full show today because I've got quite a few things to share with you. If you're sort of new here and you're feeling you're newer, or you're just feeling a bit unsure about where everything fits and how to find everything, there are some links down below that will help you. The Start Here guide walks you through how the community works and where people usually begin. And then Ketchup and Pickles, like I mentioned already, is the monthly post where everything that's released for the month. And it also includes some of the stuff that's up and coming. Think of it like a newsletter. We call it sort of the Woolen Spinning Monthly, if you will. So have a look at those. They're right down below in the down bar. And if you have any questions, or you're wondering about anything, or you're a little bit confused, just send me a message, comment on this video, whatever works for you. And if you're already familiar with everything, you don't need to do anything. So let's just jump in. Now I have to find the credits. I'm still getting used to this setup. Thank you for your patience, you guys. All right, here it is. Eliane was saying that they ice bath in the sea in Norway, and I know Josephine Walton, she does a lot of ice bathing in Sweden. It's something that I'm not sure I could do it. I've tried. I can't get past my knees. And then Rebecca was saying that they do their ice fishing in April, which is really cool. So let's talk about, what do we want to talk about? Let's start off with some spinning, because I haven't been doing a ton of spinning, but I do have a couple of updates to share with you and some things that I've been working on. And then I really wanted to spend some time telling you about what happened with my sweater that I shared with you last episode, and recognizing that sometimes things just don't go as planned, and that, you know, even the best laid plans sometimes shift and change as we go. So let's start off with spinning, and I'll share with you a small finished skein, and then we'll go from there. So I have been very slowly working my way through Melissa's MellyKnits Delightful Advent for her. So she asked me if I would be interested in spinning up some of the Advents that she was sort of falling a little bit behind on, to get all the sampling and all the stuff, all the yarns made from the Advent. She keeps them so that she can look back and see what's been done in the past and what works, and what she wants to change, what she wants to do differently in the future. It's kind of like a working journal. And the Delightful Advent for Christmas 2025, so that was just released like 2 months ago, was sort of a wonderful collection of interesting fleeces, mostly fine fleeces, not all of them, but mostly fine. And then they were combined with some weirdos. So think, bison and Kiviot and Angora and all different sorts of things. And I think this year, last year they included mink. This year they included bison. There's always like something really fun. And basically she takes like a beautiful fine fleece, or just like a beautiful fleece, because Melissa, she always works with beautiful fleece. She takes a beautiful fleece, and then she puts something chonky in it and kind of tries to add some texture. And chonky is her word, not my word. So the first one, and I shared this with you guys last time in the last episode, and I have some photos to share with you, was this beautiful coated Cormo from New York. And it was this beautiful tawny brown color. It's very similar to my sweater that I'm wearing today, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. But this beautiful long stapled, this is quite long. It's about 5.5 inches, 5 inches, I think I would say. And you can see just the unbelievable crimp in there. Like, look at that bounce. It's just beautiful and unbelievably soft. Unfortunately, this little lock is getting a little bit beaten up because I photographed it. It's been in the bag. It's been kind of thrown around a little bit, and it's getting a little bit beaten up. So I'm going to throw all of the locks. I'm going to label them, and I'm going to throw them all into an envelope to try to preserve them and keep them nice, because that one's getting a little bit beaten up. So day one was this coated cormo, and it is from Seven Spirits Farm in New York, like I mentioned. And I started spinning it. This is the first singles, first day, and I think I talked about this a little bit on the last show, but I started spinning it and it just was spinning so fine. And I've sort of learned over time to not fight that if a fleece wants to spin really, really super fine, and you've got really fine crimp and you have a really fine lock structure, like when you feel it, it's really fine, go with it. And so that's what I did. And I just sort of allowed the singles to be really super fine and to spin really super fine. And so this is the finished yarn. And if you guys won't be able to see this at home, but this is a 4-ply. And what I ended up doing was I spun that entire first length of roving from that was just the coated cormo, and because it was spinning so fine, I just kept spinning it. But I knew that if I was going to 2-ply it, it would just be way too fine. And so what I did was I just kept spinning it. I just leaned into it and continued to spin. Really enjoyed it, and it spun up really quickly. And then when I opened day 2, I knew that it was combined with bison because Melissa and I had already talked about it, but it was the same coated cormo, but now it's combined with 20% bison down from O Canada Bison Wool Corp in Alberta. And what I did was I sort of allowed those singles to also spin really super finely. And to be honest, other than a little bit of texture, I didn't notice a lot of difference between day 1 and day 2, even though there was a full 20% of the bison in there. It didn't feel like, you know, it was that different. I think Rebecca had asked on the stream last time if it was really super different. It didn't feel really super different. It felt like what my Kiviot blends in the past have felt like. It felt like what merino feels like when you throw a little bit of Angora in there, or Kiviot or yak. It just kind of had a slightly more textured feel, and because I allowed that to be spun really super finely as well, I let them, this is day 3 and day 4, so I'm kind of giving a bit of a spoiler here. But what I ended up doing was I let the singles from each of the 2 preps rest on the bobbin for about 4 or 5 days. And then I made 2 center pull balls, and then I plied them from that. So center pull ball, plied them together, and that's what gave me this beautiful 4-ply. And it's round and it's bouncy. It's got amazing bulk. It just pops right back into place. I'd actually really like to knit a swatch from this and see what that does. It's just gorgeous. And I'll show you a couple of photos here. So this was the original fiber. This was what it originally looked like. So very, very dark brown. You can see on the far side there that the adding the bison in didn't really change the prep at all. Like it doesn't look noticeably different. And when I stripped it down to create the little nest, which I'll talk about in a minute, to spin from, it was actually really hard to tell that it was even that different. It was hard to tell that the difference between the 2 was that different. And the cormo takes over so much. It's so fine and bouncy and springy that it just completely takes over. So yeah, Rebecca even agrees with me. She says when the wool is so fine, there's less of a difference. And that's certainly been my experience in the past, and that was definitely my experience here. Yeah, Diane. It's definitely Melissa's special vocabulary. That's right. So that was this spin, and then I thought I would take a couple of photos to show you guys of the yarn up close, so you can see the roundness here of just the 4-ply and like how round it is. This yarn would be incredible in a toque, and I was even thinking, like, if you took some variegated hand spun, like something really bright and colorful, and you used this as the solid color, and then you used the bright colorful hand spun as the background, this would make an incredible brioche toque. There's enough yardage. It would be the perfect project. It would just go so well. And I thought that would just work really, really beautifully. So I might talk to Melissa about that and whipping this up into a toque. Yeah, and I knew what I was getting in the end. I wanted to mention this. I did know what I was getting in the end because I did do a 4-ply plyback sample. So I did initially, when I started to realize how fine the Cormo was, because it is so fine, I did do a 4-ply plyback. And so I did kind of realize right away, like I knew that the yarn would be a little bit thicker. I knew it would be very, very round. It would be a little bit textured because of the bison in there. And actually I do have my wraps per inch tool right here, which is unusual, but it's just because I'm not normal right now in terms of like what I've got, like how things are stored and whatnot. So it's coming up on my wraps per inch tool at about 14 wraps per inch. So it's a heavy sport, light DK, even as a 4-ply. And then it really, in the washing, it really bloomed quite nicely. So I would say this is probably more like a 12 wraps per inch finished. And that's after blooming and after washing. So really, really, really lovely yarn. I love this yarn. So then I went on to do days 3 and day 4. And honestly, I thought that by today for the show, I really did. I thought that I would have this yarn plied, day 5 and 6 plied, and then day 6, 7, and 8 on the bobbins. Like I thought I would be way further ahead than I am, but c'est la vie. So this blend was really fun. This is day 3 and day 4. So the idea with Delightful is that you take the odd day and you ply it with the even day. And that makes a yarn, and then the next odd day gets plied. So it's one without anything in it, and then the other one, she's added texture, something chonky, something, you know, that gives it some interest. So this was Pavlova. It's a Corriedale from Anna Grafton in New Zealand. And I had just spun one of her fleeces back in the summer. So I had prepped and spun it. So I had actually had a recent Anna Grafton experience, and this is the one that's going to become the August cardigan. And I have my little gauge swatch here. So I was very, very familiar with these Corriedales. I knew how it would respond. I knew how it would spin. I knew what it would come out like. And so because of that, I just made sure to prep it in a very similar way. I stripped down this length of roving from Melissa. I just stripped it down, made all these little nests. I'll show you what I did with day 5 and day 6 in just a moment. And then day 4 was actually fascinating. It's the Corriedale blended with 20% Oakley, Cozy, and Butterscotch, Kiwi, and Blueberry. Those are the names of the rabbits. It's Angora from Carolyn Martin here in British Columbia. So again, very similar color. That's going to be important in a minute. So in the roving itself and in the carded bat itself that Melissa provides, you really can't tell from day 1 and day 2. There's not much difference between these two. So like if you, to the untrained eye, you would think that it was 2 days of the same thing, same as day 1 and day 2. And it's not until you really feel it that you start to realize that there's something else going on in this day 4. And again, it's super, super fine crimp, unbelievably fine Corriedale. Like this is more like a, this feels and acts more like a merino, a very, very, very fine, soft, bouncy, curly, long stapled merino. It's just beautiful to feel. Like this is something special, this stuff. And it was something special to spin, you know, like you just sit there and you just enjoy it because you're like, this is just something special. And the whole time I just felt like as I was spinning, it was like, oh, this is so nice. So day 3 went super, super, super fast. And then day 4, with that Angora in there, I thought it was going to really feel different, and I thought it was going to really sort of start to feel more slippery and more silky, and that it was going to need a lot more twist to hold together because there's no scales in Angora, and it does tend to need more twist. Just like yak, just like bison, they don't have any scales. They need that twist to hold together and to have that, like, you know, structural integrity. Maybe I needed to add a little bit more twist to the singles, maybe, but honestly, it was the texture that surprised me. It doesn't look, it's hard to see on the camera, it doesn't look quite the same as the original merino on its own, or now I'm calling it merino. The original Corriedale on its own. It just doesn't have that same je ne sais quoi. This, even when you look at the two of them, if I hold these up side by side, have a really good look at this one. It's the original Corriedale by itself, but then look at this one. It's milkier. The singles aren't quite as well defined, and that's from that texture of the Angora. So if you look at this one here, this has the Angora. You see how it's just slightly whiter, and it looks a little bit fuzzier, even though they have roughly the same amount of twist. They're so pretty. But I think in the 4-ply, you're gonna see a little bit of color twisting. Very, very subtle, but I think it's gonna be there. So, yeah, I'm excited to get these plied. They've been resting now for over a week, and it's just because, honest to goodness, I just have not had a chance to do anything. I have done so little in the last week. It's partially been just life, but there's been a lot going on. Nora had 2 games on Sunday, played her little heart out. Oh my goodness. James's soccer games are now a full 90 minutes plus a 5-minute for halftime. They really need more like 10 minutes, but then it would just get like too long. And so it's just, I completely lose the weekends now. And, you know, it's a lot. Good news though, on the house reno, good news, side note, side quest. We need our little side quest bird here, a little robin. That's from a reference to a show back in December. We have two of our windows are now new and have been installed. 2. We only have 16 windows, so that's actually like a big deal. Anyways, nothing interior yet, and we're still dealing with permitting for the foundation, so we're still stalled inside the house, but windows we've got 2. So day 5 was Hanui, and it's obviously from Hanui Wools in New Zealand. And what Melissa did with this one was she took the Hanui and she mixed it with 20% Godiva and Latte, that's the name of the goats, from Kid Nubora Goat L&R Farms in Washington. So this one was really interesting. And this original Hanui lock looked like this. Isn't that beautiful? And again, really, really fine crimp, long stapled, very, very similar to the Corriedale in terms of crimp, looking a lot like a merino to the untrained eye. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do when I'm finished all this? Once I have all 6 of the fleeces, I'm gonna lay out the locks and I'm gonna like lay them out next to each other in a photograph, and we'll talk about it on the show. I'll lay them out and I'll label them so that you guys can see what they are and sort of have them like up side by side, like, you know, like this in a photograph. And then we can kind of compare and contrast and talk about, like, you know, how, you know, these different colors and the crimp structure and just how fine these are, you know, what they kind of, you know, do for our yarns, and you know, how much fun they are. So this one, I'm not sure I have photos, just bear with me, I don't. That's okay. I'll show them to you next time. These ones, this is what I was going to talk about with the splitting of the bat. So what I did with this one, the Hanui, oh, it's just beautiful. Look at that. So I took the strip of roving, they're all exactly the same. They all look like the ones that I just showed you of the Corriedale. And I take them and I strip them down into long lengths, and then I've just been pre-drafting like that all the way down. And because this is such fine crimp, oh, they pre-draft just like a dream. And it's so airy and light. It feels like a feather. It's so lovely. So that one is ready to spin. This is the Hanui by itself. But what was really interesting about this one, the goats were like a silver color. So it's very obvious which one is not pure Hanui. Look at that silver. Isn't that fun? With Melly's fabulous blending and the fairly low quantity of Angora, did the Angora stay in there and not fly away? It did. Yeah, great question, Rebecca. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Winders. We got winders. So look at that silver of the goat in there. Isn't that incredible? And I can already feel the difference in this one. I haven't even started spinning it and I can feel it. You can really feel the hanui, and you can really feel like how it's still grippy, and it's still grabbing onto itself because of the crimp. So it's still grabbing onto its neighbor, and it's still, you know, doing its thing. But then you've got overlaying that, not really affecting the drafting at all, but overlaying that is all of these like silver bits. And they sort of almost these like goat hair fibers that changes the texture and changes the look and the appearance of the roving. And I've been coveting this all week, and I just haven't had a chance to get my spinning wheel and get this going. But this hopefully will get started maybe today. Maybe I'll get lucky. My charka, my book charka, is out for delivery. So I might get a bit distracted. But I really want to get this Advent done for Melissa. And I want to you know, stay relatively on track. So maybe what I'll do is it'll be my you know, sort of reward, if you will, my prize when I'm finished doing the Advent for her. Yeah, really gorgeous, Pauline. So lovely. I made coffee for my mom before I started streaming, and then I haven't even drunk any of it. It's still warm though. So good. And then the other thing that I have been doing, I'm just going to move my original Corriedale out of the way so I don't lose it and it doesn't fall on the floor because Murphy's Law. In other news, my combo spin. So my Sweet Georgia combo spin, 3 colorways: the Storm Chaser colorway, the Snow Angel colorway, and the Patchwork Quilt colorway. They're all Corriedale. There's a theme here this year thus far, all the Corriedale, all the time. This was the original little sample that I did that was of each colorway spun separately and then plied. So it kind of gave me an idea of what it would look like when it was combo drafted and combo spun. Not exactly, more like a combo ply. I could have taken these 3 colorways, spun them separately, and plied them together, and it would have been really, really lovely. But I wanted a little bit more cohesion than that, and I wanted it to look a little bit more blended than that. I wanted something more heathered. This is more marling. You see how it looks like more like a barber pole? And I wanted something more heathered. So I wanted that color twisting and that color combining to happen in the actual singles themselves, so that when they go to twist over each other in the ply, it would be a little bit less, what's the right word? I was going to say obnoxious, but not quite as overt. And anyways, I finished. I told you guys that my goal for this show was to finish the bobbins, and I did. I finished the bobbins. So all 3 bobbins are done. I don't think that I'm going to get more braids of this and get more braids to spin and push out the yardage. I think I'm just going to let it go. I think if that means that I don't have enough yardage to do a sweater, that I'm going to be okay with that. I probably will have enough to do a vest if I choose to do a vest, or I might do a shawl. I have so many things to spin right now, and I have so many things to work on. I kind of want to move on to other things, and I have something that's been sort of, I don't even know what the right word is, you know, percolating on the back burner, kind of in the back of my mind, that I've kind of had, it's been like bothering me, and I've been wanting to play around and try some sampling and do something about it. And Dion gave me a fantastic idea last week, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to play with that idea. So I'm kind of ready to be done with this, and I'm ready to move on to another project. So now that these are done, I did start plying. And actually, it's the reason why, yeah, fermenting, great word. Percolating, fermenting, yeah. You guys know how much I love kombucha and fermenting things. I started plying. So I started this morning, and I love how gray purple this is. I just love, like, you know, the subtle texture. It's going to stripe a little tiny bit, but it's overall very mauve. It has a lovely feel to it so far. You know, fine 3-ply, very round. I am doing it on my e-spinner because it's just a little bit faster. I can kind of crank it up and let it rip. And I'm really, really, really liking it. So bubbling away in my brain. I like that, Christine. So this will get plied this week. My goal was to have at least one skein plied for this show, but I got the third singles done. So I think that's pretty good. I think, you know, for considering I got very little done over the last couple weeks and it's been really, really busy, a lot of driving. I think that's pretty good. And actually, last week, you guys, oh my goodness, I was so tired. I actually, one day, what day was it? I sat down and I watched a movie. I was so tired. I didn't knit, I didn't spin, I didn't weave. I just sat. I felt so tired, and it was almost like the culmination of all of the stuff from the fall and Christmas, and we kind of hit the ground running in January. James had his exams, and then he had a couple of days off before he started semester 2, and it was just like a culmination of all the things, the kids both being back in school last week. I just like hit a wall and I was so tired. Do you guys experience that at this time of year? Yeah, I was just like, whew, like hit like with a semi truck or something. So, but I feel a lot better this week, and I don't think I was fighting anything. I don't think I was sick or anything. I think I was just tired. I think I was just like, I'd had enough. Sometimes that happens. All right. Yeah, thank you so much, Pauline. She says that turned out great. Love the subtle color changes. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really loving how this is coming out. I think it's going to be subtle. It's going to be really lovely. Glenda on hers, because she did socks, right? She actually used contrasting gray, just straight gray for like a heathered gray for the heels, toes, and cuff of her socks. And I was even thinking, depending on the yardage, I could even stretch the yardage with this by doing contrasting hems, cuffs, and collar if I were to pursue a sweater into a sweater. So that's kind of in the back of my mind. I'm kind of thinking about that a little bit because I really loved the look that she got from that. And I have so much heathered gray in my stash. I don't have access to it because it's all in the sea can, but I can wait until we get our stuff out of the sea can when we move back into our home, and I can, you know, I can probably go through my stuff and see if there's something in there that I've already spun that would look really nice. Maybe not Corriedale, but definitely a silver gray BFL or a silver gray something that would work really super well. Yeah, Pauline, actually, it's funny that you would say that. You said different colored sleeves. I was thinking of that as well, or I could do something striped. There's so many possibilities with this yarn because it's subtle and it's quite lovely. Like in terms of like obviously it's lovely. I mean, it's subtle in its color variation. So there's a lot that you can put with it. It's kind of like Rebecca's yarn that she's been, her Christmas Dust Bunnies SpinDecember yarn that she's been sharing in the Wool Circle. There's so many colors in there because she blended it all on her blending board. And then when she took off the roll eggs, she was sharing with everyone on the Wool Circle, you know, the different colors that she could put with it for contrast for a shawl that she's knitting, her wave shawl from Migrainer. And all of them work because she's got all those subtle colors in there from that sort of tweedy aspect. So this yarn is kind of the same. Like I could put a pink with it, I could put a blue with it, I could put gray with it, I could put purple with it. There's a lot of things I could do. Which is kind of neat. I could even get Sweet Georgia to dye a braid of one of the colors solid and then spin that up for the contrasting cuff or second color, whatever. There's lots of options. All right, let's talk about knitting. Okay, knitting. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, I made my Make 9 for this year, and I kind of had this plan that I wanted to, you know, work through my SpinDecember yarn right away because I just loved it so much, and it came out exactly how I wanted it to, and I was so pleased with it. And this is a photo of it here, and it was the color, the gentle heathering in the singles, the marling in the finished yarn. It was just overall very subtle. It wasn't striping in the final knit. And I had talked about when we were at the Little Women play back at Christmas time. I think I shared this in the first episode in January. There was a girl sitting behind us in this all over, ribbed sweater that was just beautiful, very similar colors. And I really, really liked it. And so I added it into my Make 9. And I have sort of recognized in the course of like all of my making and all the things that I like to, that we talk about here on the show and we talk about it in the community, is that sort of as we work through our projects and as we work through our stuff, sometimes things just don't fit anymore. And I find I kind of jump in with both feet sometimes, and then I get to that point where I realize that it's just not quite what I was hoping for, and I need to change direction, and I need to sort of pivot from what I was doing before. And this is so normal. Like, this is part of what happens in our making. This is part of what doing what we do. This is part of it. It's part of doing this work. It's not an exception. This doesn't happen once in a blue moon. This happens quite often. And I think this is a really good conversation for me to come back to again and again, especially right now, because it's happening to me over and over and over again right now. It feels like, I think I just said to Lisa this past week, like nothing, it feels like nothing is working. And when I was looking at the sweater and looking at sort of what I did and didn't like about it, and there's one thing in particular that I was like, I'm not going to wear this because of this one thing. I realized that this wasn't the only thing that this was happening with where I had made a plan and I was heading in a certain direction and then realized that it wasn't working. So basically what happened was I planned the sweater. Let me show you the sweater, because I did almost have it finished. Okay, so this is the Terrazzo Pullover. It's by Petite Knits. It's a beautiful pattern. I am absolutely going to come back and make this again. It just wasn't working for the weight of yarn that I had and what was going on at the bottom. So it was the ribbing at the bottom that I had issues with. And basically what happened was I basically knit the whole thing, and I started on the sleeves. And as I'm knitting the sleeves, I realized that I was getting a different gauge in the sleeve than I was from the body of the sweater. And I think it was small gauge knitting in the round, switching yarns every row so that I kept that, kept the minimal striping, because you can see in the body of the sweater there's a little bit of like color movement and texture, but it's not unpleasant, and you don't get like these big like color blocks from the different skeins of yarn being so different from one another from the whole spin. Because this was all carded together. I've talked about this yarn quite a lot, so maybe go back to the last couple of episodes to hear me wax poetic about my SpinDecember yarn. And man plan, God laughs. Totally. And it is, Lisa, you're absolutely right. It is so pretty knit up. Like, it is so pretty. I love this yarn so much. So when I finished the bottom ribbing, and then I was having issues with the sleeve. So I'd ripped the sleeve back and I was going to start it again on one size bigger needle. So there was that going on. That was the one thing. And then the other thing that was going on was the bottom ribbing. So by then I had finished the ribbing on the bottom, and it was kind of ballooning out in a really odd way. And so I undid the cast off, took it back and redid it in twisted rib, which is what's called for in the pattern, but it was still doing it. And it was like it wasn't sitting properly. So when I actually tried it on and actually like put it on, when it hit my hip bone on of my jeans, it just wasn't sitting properly. And I knew that I wouldn't wear it. And so I ripped it back again, and I tried just plain 1x1 rib, and it still wasn't sitting properly. And by then I didn't even finish the rib. I just ripped it. I started ripping it out. So I sat there one evening and I just very slowly ripped it back, because I had to do like one round at a time to keep the balls all separate, because there were, on the body of the sweater, there was 3 balls of yarn that I was carrying down the sweater. And then on the sleeve, by then I had already ripped that back. So I just pulled out the yarn that was holding the sleeves, and I just slowly ripped my way back. So it just it just didn't like match what I was hoping for, you know, the vision that I had for how the bottom of the sweater was gonna fall. And I was, because I was frustrated with the gauge of the sleeve and I was gonna have to redo it anyways, it was becoming less and less enjoyable. And I knew that I already had to fix the turtleneck because I knit it the wrong side out, which I talked about in the last episode. So there was kind of all these things that were like mounting, that was building up, that I just was starting to really not enjoy. And I knew I had to knit another sleeve and I had to figure out the bottom ribbing, and it just, something felt off. And at first I couldn't articulate what it was, but then as I started to rip back and I started to undo things, I sort of realized that, like, yes, I invested all of this work, and yes, there was a lot of knitting, and yes, there was a lot of stuff happening in the sweater, and I had to rip back the ribbon. I had to rip back the tubular bind off, and I had to rip back the ribbing and redo it a few times and try to play around with it. But I think what was really important in this whole thing was that I actually noticed that I didn't like it. Like, I was actually in it, and I noticed. And in the past, I'm not sure that I would have noticed. I think I would have just kept forging ahead and just tried to continue to put a round peg in a square hole and just made it work, and then ended up with something in my drawer that I took a couple of photos of and didn't end up really loving and wear. So big difference. And I think the more experienced I get and the more that I do this kind of stuff, and I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, right? I just have realized I have to embrace that. And I just have to recognize that in the moment, if I catch it in the moment, there's something off. And it doesn't mean that the sweater's not beautiful and that it wasn't a lot of work, but I can let go of that. So it's just like what Rebecca said, like, let it go, let it go. It's so true. I know we kind of have this joke in our community about like doing a Rachel, because I rip things out all the time. But I actually am really excited about what I've ended up putting on the needles instead. And so it's ended up actually being a really good thing. And I feel like I really know the yarn now. I know how it knits. I know the gauge that it really likes to be knit at. I've chosen a pattern that has half fisherman's rib all over, which was the original plan and was what I originally wanted to do with the yarn. And I kept the same needle size so that it would fall nicely and it would like have an opportunity to bloom in place, because the plain stockinette, I could see how it was feeling a bit stiff and feeling a bit constricted. It probably would have worn actually quite well. Having the Make 9 and having the grid and actually referencing back to that was really helpful, because even though it's a stagnant piece of paper in the sense of like it's on the screen and it doesn't change and I've made this thing, it made me remember as I was looking at it why I had like wanted to knit this up right away. Like, what was it that I was so excited about? And it was the sweater at the play, and hers was a pullover and it was a turtleneck and all that kind of stuff, and I still have that percolating at the back of my mind. But what I really wanted was a cardigan that was all over fisherman's rib. Maybe it won't work. Maybe I'll get halfway through and I'll be like, nope, and I'll rip it back too. But I don't think so. So let me show you where I'm at now. I've redone this a couple of times because I misread the pattern. I think it was the fatigue from last week. I was just so tired. And this is the thing, like as we make and as we go through these things and we become more and more experienced and we become more and more confident about our choices and the things that we do, like I think we feel more peace about ripping things out and trying things a different way and redoing things. So this same fabric, same yarn, alternating again. So I've got two skeins here going at the same time. This is the Seasons cardigan. Oh, and actually I have a photo of it. So if you guys don't know this cardigan, this is the Seasons cardigan. It's by Ozetta, Haley Schmedley. And it's an all over half fisherman's rib with a double knitting for the button band. And then 1x1 rib for the cuffs and the hems. In the pattern, you actually build... Look at me changing things again. You actually build the double knitting, the 1x1 band for the button band. You build it at the same time. So you start with that and you build it out and then you pick up stitches. I I'm just not a huge fan of that. I find that I row out on it and I end up with it quite flared and it doesn't work out well for me. So I'm just gonna add it afterwards. So I cast on the number of stitches that you pick up after you do that. So I'm just doing it slightly differently. But this is where I'm at. So obviously it's a cardigan. I'm showing it to you backwards because this is the back of the cardigan. And then I'm slowly building the two raglans here. Isn't that gorgeous? Here, I'll get rid of the image. It's in the way. Look at how pretty that is. See if I can try and hold this up for you. If I hold it too close, it like flare, like the light is too bright. So if I hold it back here, this is more like what it actually looks like. It's a little tiny bit more purple in real life. Isn't that beautiful? I love the raglan, what it looks like. So very simple, one stitch raglan. And then you build out. The reason why I had to rip it back was because I forgot. I don't know what I was thinking. I think it's like I said, I think I was just too fatigued last week. I forgot to do the increases. Like you're supposed to increase along the raglan for the front neck edge, but then you also have to increase at the shoulder. And I was only doing one. And so I completely forgot that I had to do both. So I got like sort of to this point on the weekend and I was like, wait a second, this isn't right. So I had to rip back and start again, but that was okay. It was actually, it went really, really quickly and I'm already back to where I was before I ripped it out. So that's actually pretty good. Really pretty. This is more like what I had in mind. So while the other sweater was beautiful, don't get me wrong, I know I recognize it was beautiful for sure. This was more what I was thinking and what I kind of had in my head. And that's really, really special because I was really hoping that like when I got to the end of this project, like I loved the idea that Dion sort of gave to the community about SpinDecember was be in the moment, create something and from your stash, colors, blend them together, do something that you wouldn't normally do and just have fun. And this was fun. And then to sort of be able to come back to it and say, you know, I'm still having fun and I'm still creating something that I really, really love and that I'm excited to wear. One of my most favorite things that I've ever made is my field day cardigan that's just back here. And so very similar shape, very similar sort of different construction, but similar shape. I wear that all the time. I know I will wear this. And, you know, even though at first I felt kind of frustrated and I was disappointed by the whole thing and I was annoyed at not being able to get that ribbing to sit properly at the bottom, funnily enough, I didn't feel badly about the time that I had spent knitting the sweater. I was bummed that I wasn't going to have a finished sweater, but I wasn't annoyed about the time piece. It was more just the annoyance of like not getting something to work the way that I wanted it to work. And so by ripping it back, I sort of realized that like I can reclaim the yarn, I can reclaim, you know, my vision that I had for this and what I really wanted to create, and just choosing to do it again, but cast it on right away, not letting it languish and sit, but to actually like push through that sort of a difficult, that difficult moment of like, you've ripped all this yarn, now you have to start all over again. I just was like, nope, I'm gonna rip it. And as soon as I finish ripping it, I'm gonna cast it back on again. And I think that's part of it, right? Like we're always allowed to change our mind. We're always allowed to come at something from a different angle, even if it's really super late in the process. And I think sometimes I get, you know, very caught up in like, I want to get this finished. And sometimes that's not always the right outcome. Sometimes I have to step back and let things languish, let things take a time out, let things take the time that they take. It's like these spinning projects for the Delightful Advent. It's taking a lot longer than I thought that it would. And I'm just trying to allow that to be the case. Our life is really busy right now. We've got a lot going on. And I think, you know, the fact that I've been doing this for so long, sometimes I feel a bit impatient with myself and it's like, no, wait. This is exactly how it's supposed to be. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be and exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think that sometimes takes years to find some peace about and to find a good place about. And of course there is that confidence and that willingness to undo things and to redo things in the way that you envisioned and the way that you wanted it to be. So Yeah, not letting it sit and sour. What a great term, Diane. Also, hi, by the way. It's good to see you. It's been a long time. Another example of what feels bad isn't always bad. Yes, because you're right. You're gonna redo it and you're gonna love it. It's like when a famous painting's x-rayed and something a bit different shows up underneath. Yes, that is so true, Christine. Yes. Christine says she just finished making her Lakes cardigan and really enjoyed it. Might go in on my queue. Ooh, yeah, definitely the Seasons cardigan so far. It's a little bit complicated in those setup rows, but she's got some really good video support for those who need it. And actually, I would like to, I had made the Lakes cardigan and my gauge wasn't quite right and it just didn't sit quite right, but I've actually been thinking I'm going to revisit it and go back and maybe pull some yarn out of my stash for that one for sure. Yeah, I think you're right, Colleen. I will definitely wear this one. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Diane. She says the color's really good with my hair. Thank you. I really like how the stitches look as well. I really, really love how part of what I really wanted with the fisherman's rib, and this is part of the brilliance of half fisherman's rib, brioche, etc. Because you're slipping stitches and you're moving things around a little bit, you lose that 1x1 striping in terms of like color starts to shift a little bit and move a little bit. And so I was really liking that would help to sort of create like a watercolor effect of the different skeins. They wouldn't stripe in any meaningful way. And you can even see the difference between the body of the Terrazzo and this, where the colors are a bit more mixed up. And it's just the way that the stitches are made. Like even on the back, it's not as stripy. It's more watercolor, I guess is probably the right word. It's a really great, it's a very effective way of blending skeins that are slightly different, is to choose something like brioche or fisherman's rib. So yeah, I would love to hear, you guys have already started the conversation in the live chat. I would love to hear like what you guys think about some of your own shifting plans in your work. I know some people have put together make nines, some people have goals for the year, they've made grids, they've done different things. You know, we're not trying to like solve anything here. It's just nice to sort of hear how some of this stuff is shifting for some of you guys as well. Sometimes it's not quite as clear cut as we like to think that it is. So yeah, that is the sweater. So I will keep you updated. I'm hoping I will have a little bit of work, you know, have made some forward progress next time that we talk. Yeah, the way she does the button bands on the Lakes cardigan is genius. Yes, it is. For those who aren't familiar with that pattern, go have a look. It's quite ingenious. Yes. I was looking forward to knitting, doing that. I think you're absolutely right, Christine. All right. Finally, let's do some community participation and see what you guys have been working on. Have to fix that. All right. I'm very, very, very small. That seems to have moved. There we go. I think that's a bit better. I wonder if there was an echo there because I didn't silence the mic. Was there an echo when it played the jingle for the community participation? Can you guys let me know? Because if there is, then I'm going to move it for next time so that there isn't an echo. Just let me know. All right. You guys have been working on some very, very cool things. So this is Florence's spin and knit along that she's been focusing on making projects from everything that she has in her own stash. And she called it 52 weeks of using what I have. And this always makes me think of our thing in our community that when we talk about our stupid stupid daily walks for our stupid mental health. This always makes me think of this. It's like SUWHIH, like making it into an acronym, kind of like we do for our mental health stuff. Oh, good. Oh, good. Thank you, you guys. So no echo. So definitely a little bit different from my old setup, because the old setup created a huge echo. So that's good. That's wonderful. So this is from, so Florence has been finishing a ton. So she finished this one for her daughter, Charlotte. It's a love note. She had hoped to get some wearer shots, but it didn't happen. I think it's because Charlotte was heading home, but this love note is just beautiful. And Florence got this finished up, and then she also finished up another sweater for Charlotte. And this, I loved this lace pattern in here, and I can't remember what the pattern was. I popped love note in here, but I'm not sorry guys, but I'm not totally sure what this sweater was, but beautiful lace pattern. I loved it. And this was also for Charlotte. And then she also made her some socks, stash, and these have some possum fibers in them. I think it's Y Kiwi is the yarn company that makes these socks, and it's got some possum fiber in there. She said she thinks that this yarn is about 12 years old. So that's wonderful that she got it done. And then she got a few other things done, but I'll share that with you guys next time. And then of course we've just got our general makes and shares. This one was from Ellie-Ann. She's the first skein of fun yarn. She wanted to make a rough and funny yarn, as she's been tired of spinning fine yarns that she has that I have to 3 or 4 apply to make the yarn usable. So she wanted to do something mindless, and she wanted to do something that was just really fun. So this was before washing, but she's got a chunky, airy yarn. I just love these colors. I think they're beautiful. I think Charlotte is very lucky as well. Yeah. I was just catching up on chat. I told some knitting friends about my bingo card, and she told her husband, and the next day he handed her a bingo card that he made her. And now she hates my guts. I'm sure it's stuff that he wants her to get done. Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. This is from Glenda. I thought this was just beautiful. It's a combo spin of 3 braids from Chaotic Fibers, which is local to me in Glenda here. Carrie is located in Victoria, British Columbia. It was combinations of Polworth, Tussa, and Bamboo, and then the 3 braids. I don't know what the blends were in each braid, like if it was 85, 15, no, it couldn't have been because there's the bamboo in there. Maybe 75, 10, 10. I'm not sure. 75, 15, 15. Anyways, the combo of those 3 braids together, what gorgeous yarn, Glenda. Oh my goodness, just 855 yards. That's amazing. That would make an incredible jaunty shawl, just planting a seed. And she spun them each as singles, and then she plied them together, and I think that just worked beautifully. This is from Edith. Her Shetland cardigan is done. This is I think it's Aosta, I think you say that, Aosta cardigan. What she did was she actually had this brown here, and then the mohair silk lace, and then her hand spun, and she ended up striping it. And I just thought this was so pretty. I love this, and it's so subtle, and from a distance it would just blend, you know what I mean? Like it would just be, it would just look like an overall pinky brown. I just think it's so pretty. 4 braids of wool neps from Layer of the Llama in Michigan. The yarn is DK to light worsted chain plied, and I added a mohair silk lace just because I like holding it with most things that I knit. Yeah, it just makes everything soft and fuzzy. I just thought this was so great. I love this. This is from Laura, spinning some lovely undyed Wensleydale. This is so beautiful, Laura. I've not spun it before, and I'm enjoying it. It has a lovely halo, and I'm excited to see the finished yarn. It's fairly soft, so I'm thinking it might be a good lacy wrap. Absolutely. And the color is a beautiful chocolate brown. So pretty, and such beautiful spinning there, Laura. This is also from Ellie-Ann. I thought this cardigan, Ellie-Ann, you just nailed this. It is so pretty, and it's drapey, and it's formal. Like, it's just really, really pretty. This is the Audrey cardigan, made of 4-ply from Tour de Fleece last summer. It was 2 strands of gray, Tronder, I can never say that. Is it Troender? 1 strand of merino silk blend, and then 1 strand of pure red Erie silk. I love this yarn, and my daughter wanted this cardigan made with this hand spun. She's very pleased with the results. I used 4mm needles, and I think it was a good choice. Yeah, it looks like your yarn was maybe a bit finer, and it just has given it a beautiful drape without being too open if you've done the 4.5mm needles. I made the arms longer, and because my daughter is tall and slim. It is beautiful. You should absolutely make one for yourself, Eliane. Gorgeous. I love the texture. So subtle. These marled yarns, you guys, they are so effective. Oh, Glenda's braids were 50, 25, 25. Ooh, so very planty. This is from Crystal. She knit some fingerless mitts and a cowl from her hand spun. These are the Deviant mitts by Dragon Horde Design, and the cowl is a reinterpretation of the pattern. Isn't that beautiful? Gorgeous. And I think she wants to make a toque as well, but she doesn't know about translating that pattern into a toque. But really, really well done. Gorgeous. And this is from Megan, her first skirt from Raimi fabric to go with her new sweater. So I shared this sweater with you guys recently that she had finished it, but I thought I would share it with you again because with the skirt, Megan, you nailed it. It's amazing. It looks fantastic. That sweater, you guys, wow. Amazing. Amazing. And then we've still got people working through the year of yarn. Rebecca's almost done. We're just finishing up with tail spinning over the next show or two, and she did wolf yarn this past Tuesday, which was really cool. Oh my goodness, the yarns you made, Rebecca, are just beautiful. So this one is some beehives and coils and stuff that Eliane did. After finishing the yarn, she wove a soft but quite artistic scarf. I love this. I thought this was so cool. Mixed with some leftovers, both hand spun and commercial yarns. I really, really, really like this. I think this, like that faux plaid is so effective, and then you put in those beehives in there. I just thought this was so cool. It's from Dion. She made a super coil yarn from her SpinDecember yarns. The picture doesn't do it any justice. It's more purple and lots of sparkle. This has so much sparkle in it. It's so cool. And this one is from Alberto, final beehive sample. Excuse me, sorry you guys. Some issues still, like having to do with the top anchor. The bottom one seemed to be a bit easier. Also my wheel orifice is not big enough. I had that issue actually as well when we were doing some of that beehive spinning back in, I think it was December now, or did we do that in January? I can't remember. Might have even been in December. Because I don't have my Lendrum bulky, my jumbo flyer with me, my orifice wasn't big enough on any of my wheels that I have with me here at the house. He's glad that he redid it though, and he's still debating about doing some halos and loops. The hand spun, using a hand spun over twisted core had its challenges as it wasn't always smooth. So fiber choice was a factor as well. That makes sense. But the yarn is beautiful, Alberto. I think it is so cool. I like all of the marling in here. I think that looks really neat. So cool. And look at that beehive. Isn't that perfect? And that one there. Oh, so cool. All right, we actually have some spindle spinning. Christine wants to know if Eliane actually sleeps. Not every night, she says. This is from Megan. While some are getting snow, we are crazy warm outside. It's 51 Fahrenheit today. So she went outside and did some spindling. This is Jacob in the colorway Moss. Beautiful. Really, really pretty, Megan. And this is from Dion. This is cool. So I don't know. I can't spin pet hair. I don't know why. Like our dogs, I couldn't do it. Shangora, I can't do it. But I love living vicariously through you guys who do it. So she's currently spinning her Mochi blend. So this is Dion's cat. His name is Mochi, for those who haven't met him yet on the Zoom calls. And she's been doing this on her Mirkwood spindles. These are both Mirkwoods, which are personally my favorite spindles that I own are my Mirkwoods. And so she blended a soft Shetland, a soft Corriedale, some pulled silk, that were in blues and greens, and then she added in Mochi's downy undercoat. Isn't that cool? I can't do it. I can't. I don't know what it is. I just, oh. But I think this is so cool. So I can't wait to see the finished yarn. And then we've got some weaving going on in the community. This is from Esther. I thought this was so beautiful. This is used some handspun wool from an Advent spin as a supplemental weft for overshot. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? I ended up tossing it in the wash with the rest of the warp, which made a very dense fabric, which might make it more appropriate to turn into a cowl. But she used Rambouillet, organic Polworth, BFL silk, and some Targhee skeins. Some fun sampling with chunkier hand spun, recent boucle spin, thread cable from our studies earlier. This yarn has been sitting with me for a while, so I'm happy to start using it up. Isn't that gorgeous? And these are the skeins here. So pretty. So there was Falkland, Targhee, Polworth, pineapple silk, organic Polworth, Rambouillet, and then I think this one was the BFL silk up here. So pretty. Oh, Diane, she's with me. She said, I did it once and I hated it. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then I had to share these with you because I just think they are so freaking cool. This is from Lisa. She found a deer jaw on one of her stupid daily walks for her stupid mental health. And for those who are new here and are just like learning about our community and learning about us, this is a thing, the stupid daily walks thing. It's a thing in our community. But she's been making these gorgeous brooms, and these are works of art. They are incredible, Lisa. It's so much fun to share these and to share them with others so they can see them. I just think they're amazing. I love this, the intricacy up here. It almost looks like braiding. Amazing. And this one with all the colors, amazing. Really, really cool, Lisa. You are so talented. Thank you, you guys, for sharing what you do and for taking photos of what you do and for spending time here. I really, really appreciate it. It's always fun to go through and look at what people have been sharing and what people are doing, because we all have different things that we're working on and different things are inspiring us at different times. And it's so cool to go through and look at what everyone's doing. So I hope you guys have a really super wonderful couple of weeks. We will gather again here on the 17th of February at 11 a.m. Pacific. And next week, Rebecca will be here for the Wool Circle. So it's on February 10th at 11 a.m. Pacific. If you don't mind taking a moment to like and subscribe, I really appreciate it. It helps the show be shown to other people who are also interested in spinning and using our hand spun in our projects and talking about yarn and our process and being makers. So thank you so much. Oh, it is braiding. Lisa said it is braiding, so that's why it looks like that. It is so cool. Dion says, if I blended mochi with some fiber and sent it to you, you wouldn't know it was cat. You know what? I believe you, Dion. I bet you're right. It's the working with it that I find really hard. I tried with our dogs a couple of times and I just got so freaked out, and I don't know what it is. I have no idea. It's just something about it. It's completely a mental block. I never told you guys what I'm wearing. This is my Albini cardigan. It is by Layla. No, is that correct? My Albini. Hang on. My Albini cardigan by Orlane Souche. It is one of my absolute most favorite cardigans that I've ever made. And actually, unfortunately, it's starting to show a little bit of wear in the button band. And my friend Megan just finished another Albini. She's made quite a few. So I think I'm going to take a page out of her book. I'm going to knit it again. This one's a little bit close fitting for how I like to wear my knits now. So I think I'm going to make another one and make the next size up. So it'll just give me a little bit more positive ease, which I prefer. So yeah. Yes, you're right, Diane. It's Kim. There's a member in our community that does this for a living, makes Shiangora yarn. Yeah, Kim does it. Hats off to her. I say that to her whenever I see her. All right, you guys, have a really super wonderful day. Have a good couple of weeks. I hope you're getting lots of joy out of your making in today's world, and that you're protecting yourself and looking after yourself as best as you can. send me a message if you're wondering about more, if you're having trouble navigating everything. And until next time, happy spinning, happy making, happy all the things. I will see you then.